This weekend, the church celebrates the 19th Sunday in Ordinary Time. And just for awareness, as we celebrated the Feast of the Transfiguration last weekend, we kind of skip over the 18th Sunday and its readings. But in it, it's important to take it with us as we go into this week. So in that, we heard the multiplication of the loaves. And it's a revelation of Jesus as the new Elisha, or greater than Elisha, because Elisha the prophet once did a miracle that was very similar to what Jesus does, but on a smaller scale. So, he has, his disciples, if you will, gathered around him, and there's many hungry people, about 100, and he says, give them some food yourselves, essentially, and they do, and about 100 people are fed, and there's some left over. Well, the same thing happens with Jesus, but on a greater scale. The thousands, the multitudes are filled, and what's left over? But the 12 wicker baskets, symbolizing the fullness of God's revelation in his people, the 12 tribes of Israel, those 12 baskets. So anyway, one of the things that's happening is Jesus is drawing his disciples out of themselves, out of that posture of simple receptivity, and into one of activity. So they're not just listening now. He's saying, okay, take a step out there, give them some food yourselves. And they're like, well, Jesus, we can't do what you did. And, well, yeah, you're right, but you can participate in this. And in fact, it's going to be a requirement for you to give of yourselves going forward in your own ministry, blessed by Jesus himself. So they've got that posture of activity there, and so let's fast forward now to this week's readings, and we hear two things. The church holds in tandem both that posture of receiving and the posture of moving. So we hear that in the revelation of God to Elijah, that God is revealed in that tiny whispering sound, and it's important to call to mind, we need to spend that time in silent prayer, listening for the voice of God, developing a habit, a openness to his peace, being able to receive that, right? And all that we need to go out and do his will. Well, what do we hear in the gospel? Again, Jesus shows up, on the water, walking on water. And what does he do? He calls the disciples to him, like, okay, step out of the boat, you came out of your comfort zone, your posture of receptivity, by giving to the people some food yourselves. Now, okay, let's really step into the mystery here, go out onto the deep, if you will, and really step out in faith, and follow me, trust me, in the actions that you live. So, in these weeks, again, the emphasis that it's really important for us to go to prayer and receive from the Lord, all that we need, which is everything, but also that call on our lives to step out in faith, to give of ourselves, to serve our brothers and sisters, and to step out trusting Jesus that he will sustain us as we get into those difficult, sometimes scary moments, that God will see us through and give us what we need to walk above the waves, to withstand the wind and the storms that we face. So, hear the call of Jesus today, as we offer ourselves, in the Eucharist on Sunday, along with Jesus. It's that place where we do step out, we come in prayer, but we give of ourselves so that our lives and our ministry might be transformed and amplified, if you will, by the Lord, that we might have the trust that we need to bring Christ into the world.